Good morning, students. So for today's video also I'll be explaining from the solve exercises of inheritance. Okay, so let's move on to the program. So in your textbook, in the solve exercises, that will be question number 12. Okay, so in the textbook you will see the questions as consider the following declaration and answer the questions given below. So you have this the program that I've written here. Okay, that program will be you will find it in the textbook. Okay, along with that you will have four sets of questions. Okay, so I've written down the questions also and the answers also. So in this video I'll be explain to you the answers, how you get the answers. Okay, so this is same like the previous video from the solve exercises, that is question number 9 and 10. I've explained to you that, right? So the in the solve exercises, the inheritance programs will be mostly like this. Okay, so only thing is that you have to identify what type of inheritance it is. Okay, and then based on that, how what will be the output of the program, like that. So if you have a proper grasp of the every types of inheritance, then you'll find solving this kind of problems, okay, much easier. So here you have, let's go to the program. So in this particular program you have class vehicle. So the class name is vehicle. Okay, so this class vehicle is the base class. So within this class definition, within the curly brackets, okay, you have a private data member, that is int wheels. Okay, private label is not written there, but by default, if it is not written, if it is not mentioned, then that particular data members will be declared as private. So int wheels is a private data member. So this is the so since the class name is vehicle, right, so the data members and the member functions will also be related to the class vehicle name. So the vehicle name, okay, and then the objects members, that is the state and behavior of the object, will be similar, will resemble that to the class name. So that's why wheels, right, all vehicles have wheels, like that. So another data member that is declared is in passenger. Okay, but this passenger variable or data member is being declared as protected. Okay, so keep in mind that the private data members cannot be inherited by the uh, derived class. It cannot be accessed by the derived class, right? But the protected data members, okay, of the base class can be accessed by the uh, derived class. So in this case, protected, that is passenger. Okay, then we have two public member functions, that is input data, which passes two integer type parameters, or which declares two integer type parameters, and then you have the output data member function. So these two member functions are declared in the class definition section. So that is the function prototype. Okay, so now below class heavy vehicle. So heavy vehicle is the name of another class name, which is the derived class. How do you know it is a derived class? Because after that class name heavy vehicle you have a colon, right? So in inheritance, colon is used to signify the concept of inheritance, that is derivation, right? The base class deriving from the derived class inheriting from the base class, like that. So this tells that the derived class belongs to the base class, and that the derived class is inheriting from the base class, like that. So here the the class vehicle, which is the base class, is publicly is accessed by the derived class as protected. Okay, since there the label protected is there is mentioned, the access specifier protected is mentioned, right? So Since the class heavy vehicle has its own data member, that is one private data member diesel petrol, okay, one protected data member int load, okay, and two member functions, public member functions read data and write data. Along with that, okay, the derived class heavy vehicle will be able to access the protected data member of the class vehicle, since it has since the access specifier mention is protected, okay. So when the class heavy vehicle, okay, uh, access the class vehicle the data members, only the protected data members will be accessed, okay, not the wheels, because wheels is private. Along with that, the public data members, that is input data and output data, will also become protected in the class heavy vehicle, okay. Though they are public, yet since the access specifier mention is protected, okay, protected vehicle, okay, since the derived class is inheriting the base class as protected, so the member functions will also become protected. Now, so again, if we go to the next class, class bus, okay, so this class bus is inheriting from the uh, class heavy vehicle, okay. So this uh, class bus is derived from the class heavy vehicle, okay, and it is publicly accessing the members of the class heavy vehicle. So you can see that the class vehicle is the base class, the class heavy vehicle is the intermediate base class, and the class bus is the derived class. So you have two derived class, that is class bus and class heavy vehicle. At the same time, since class bus is being is derived from the class heavy vehicle, so class heavy vehicle becomes the intermediate base class. So here also we have an example of multi-level inheritance, okay. So now let's come back to the questions. Name the base class and derived class of the class heavy vehicle. So same like the previous question, we have to name the base class and the derived class of the class heavy vehicle. Since the class heavy vehicle uh, is derived from the class vehicle, so the class vehicle becomes the base class, and then since the class heavy vehicle acts as the intermediate base class for the class bus, that means class bus is derived from the class heavy vehicle. So the answer is base class is vehicle and derived class is bus, okay. Next is name the data members that can be accessed from function display data. So what are the data members, which are the data members that can be accessed by the member function display data? So display data is a member function of the class bus. So which data members can the display data access? In that case, it can access its own private data member of the class bus, that is character make, okay. So that data members, it can be accessed by the display data. So private data members can be accessed by the member functions, by its own member functions, keep that in mind. Along with that, okay, it can also access load and passenger, because uh, the access given the class bus is publicly able to access the class heavy vehicle data members. So there it cannot have access to the private data members, that is diesel petrol, but it can have access to the it can access the protected data member, that is low, okay. And at the same time, it can also access the protected data member, that is passenger, okay. since passenger is a Since passenger is protected and the class heavy vehicle has access to it as protected, right? So that's why passenger, load and mag can be accessed by the member function display data, okay. Next we have name the member functions which can be accessed by an object of class heavy vehicle. So if uh, the object is created for the class heavy vehicle, if an object is created for the class heavy vehicle, right, then what are the member functions that particular object will be able to access? In that case, okay, it can access, suppose class heavy vehicle, in the main function it is heavy vehicle, okay, and then HV. Let's say that the object name is HV. In that case, the object can access the member function, suppose like HV dot read data, okay, and then HV dot write data, okay. So in that case, the object can access those two member functions because those two member functions are public, okay. They are publicly declared in the class heavy vehicle um, body, okay. Whereas it cannot access the derived class pass because it is a derived class, but at the same time it cannot access the class vehicle member function because the class vehicle member function, okay, is accessed as protected, right, is accessed as protected. So that's why it cannot be made accessible by the object of that class heavy vehicle, okay. Next is in the member function output data. Is the member function output data accessible by the objects of the class heavy vehicle? So in that case, output data cannot be accessible by the member functions of the uh, class heavy vehicle, okay. So the answer is no, right? So next we have is another same example, okay. Consider the following declaration and answer the questions given below. So this is question number 13. So here you have a class living being. It has its data member character name of size 20, array name of size 20, okay. So that means the name of that particular person can be up to a maximum 20 characters or 20 alphabets long, like that. So protected access data member is there, so which is in JAWS. Two member functions are declared publicly, that is input data, okay, and output data. So this member function input data, okay, it declares two parameter types, that is character and int. So it can accept two parameter types, that is character and int, okay. At the same time, the class animal, okay, is derived class of from the is derived from the class living being, and the class animal has protected access to the uh, class living being, okay, has protected access to the members of the class living being, which means that, okay, when the members of the class living being, okay, are declared inside the class animal, are declared inside the class animal definition, okay, in that case, the protected data members will remain as protected, and the public member functions will change from public, that is input data and output data, to protected, okay. Similarly, the class animal has its own data members, that is int tail, which is private. Under protected data members, it has int legs, okay. So you can see that the data members names are also related with the class name, okay. Animal has a tail, animal has legs, right? So this signifies the state, right? And then you can see that the member functions read data, write data, which means that input the data and then after that display the data. As you can see that the parameters pass is integer, right? Because here you can see that the data members are of type int, integer tail and integer legs, right? Above you can see that the class living being, okay, in the under the member function, it is passing the two parameters, that is character and int, because one is character name and the other one is int JAWS, integer JAWS, right? So that those two values has to be passed, one as a character and then one as a integer value, okay. So similarly, class cow which is derived from the class animal. Okay, uh, so here also you can see that this is multi-level inheritance. Class living being is the base class, class animal is the intermediate base class, and class cow is the derived class. So the class cow is inheriting the members of the class animal as private, which means that, okay, the class cow has its own data members, that is int horn size, which is private. Okay, and then public member functions fetch data and display data. Okay, so here the class cow can access the member functions of the class animal, but when it is written inside the class cow declaration, okay, then the members of the class the data members and the member functions of the class animal will change from protected to private and public to private. Okay, however, the private data member, that is int tail of the class animal, cannot be inherited by the class cow, even though the access specifier there is mentioned private. Only the protected data member, that is int legs, okay, will be written, will be accessible, and it will change from protected to private. Okay, and then public, read data, write data, it will change from public to private. Okay, so when you declare it as private, all the protected and public members will change to private. And when it is protected, okay, when it is protected, the protected and public members will change to protected, and when it is public, okay, the public will remain as public, okay, and the protected will remain as protected members only. Okay, so if you have problem identifying that, okay, then please go back to my videos, okay, where I've created tables, okay, showing the access specifier table. From there you will understand. Okay, so let's come back to the questions. Name the base class and derived class of the class animal. Okay, so the class animal is derived from the class living being, so that class living being will be the base class, and from the class animal another class is derived, that is class cow. So class cow will be the derived class. Okay, next question is name the data members and that can be accessed from function display data. So that is the data member that belongs to the class cow. So this display data can access the data member, that is horn size. Okay, and then from the class animal, the protected data member, that is the legs. Okay, and from the class living being, the protected data member, that is jaws. Okay, however, it cannot access the private data members, that is tail and name. Okay, yet it is able to access the private data members horn size, because that belongs to this is not a non-member functions, it is the member function that belongs to the class cow, and the horn size also belongs to the is a data member that belongs to the class cow. Okay, so the private data members can be accessible by its own member functions. Okay, so question number 3 is name the member functions which can be accessed by the object of class animal. Okay, so if a object is declared for the class animal, what will be the member functions which can be accessed? In that case, it can access uh, by the objects of class animal. Okay, in that case, it can access the fetch data and display data. Okay, oh yeah, in this case, yeah, there is a typing mistake. Okay, in that case it will be the read data and write data. Okay, students, you just make the corrections on that. Okay, in that case it will be the read data and write data if the class animal object gets declared. Okay, not fetch data and display data. Okay, so make the corrections in your textbook also. Okay, I think there's a typing mistake. So I hope that you have understood more clearly about inheritance from these particular two uh, programs. Okay, so that will be all for today. Okay, study from the textbook also.